Welcome to Pine Thicket Philosophies, the non-podcast podcast where we do everything the podcast experts tell you not to do. If you are looking for a finely polished and professional podcast crew, well, folks, we ain't it. But if you want to virtually join a group of old outdoorsmen from southern Appalachia, as we sit around the fire and talk about any one of our favorite topics, we'll pour a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, and enjoy. Alright, welcome back. We took a quick little break, got us some water and coffee. We are going to discuss a little bit, since I've been working on editing the video series for our trip to Cumberland Island, which was last March. So almost a year.
Just about.
Getting close.
Just about a year. I'm catching up. At one point I was about 16 months behind on my video editing. So I'm catching up. I'm now down to about 11. So I'm getting there. But we took a trip last March to Cumberland Island. For those of you that don't know, Cumberland Island National Seashore is a barrier island off the coast of Georgia, off the town of St. Mary's, and you have to take a ferry called the Cumberland Queen 2. Wasn't that it?
I think so.
First time I'd ever been on a ferry boat, and
you can paddle over.
it was interesting, and thank goodness we was on a big boat because the waters were a little rough.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Because the wind was really rough, and I know when we docked on the island, it was more like a crash.
Yes.
Yeah. when it crashed into
We crashed into the dock.
Yeah.
And
I remember when we hit, I was thinking, why have I not got a video camera going? Because we're about to all sink and die.
We hit
Just
hard.
Yeah.
But the guys working on the boat, apparently they're used to this. They just throw the ropes over and
Yeah, it didn't phase them. Everybody on the boat, all the passengers on the boat were like,
it was like the Titanic.
You wasn't even on the dock side that hit. I was just like watching the whole time.
Yeah, we was right there.
Right there, and slam.
We're not going to slow down. We're going to hit her wide open.
They came in hot.
We got there and we disembarked, and we had to listen to them tell us that the raccoons on the island were smarter than the people that go there.
yeah.
Yeah, and that they had learned to undo zippers and snaps and buttons to get into your stuff. That was only wild animals other than,
Horses.
Yeah, the horses, which they said we was going to see, and I was beginning to wonder if we was ever going to see one.
I think we finally saw two.
Yeah,
the whole trip.
Pretty close.
We seen them too before we took the parallel trail, and then when we went to the beach that second day, we come across some
at the pond.
right there before we got to the beach.
And then we saw some, getting ahead of ourselves, we saw some
On the way back.
when
we were riding.
Yeah. We so the first day we landed and it was cold.
It was pretty
It was
pretty
chilly. And high wind. And then once we got inland of the island, it was
nice.
It was very nice. The hiking on the road, which you call it a road, I mean, it's barely a 2-track, there's no vehicles on the island except Forest Service vehicles.
Yeah.
And it's barely a 2-track road. And we were hiking on it, and we were doing pretty good. And we'd covered several miles, because we went down to Dungeness Ruins.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yes, it was.
And then we went back up the Dungeness Ruins. I was watching it just a minute ago. Carnegie. Was it the Carnegie family?
Yes.
It was a mansion that they had that had burned in like the 30s.
Yeah.
They've maintained the ruins.
But you could tell by looking at it that at one time it was something else.
Yes.
For its day, it was something else. Because they had to bring everything to that island
to build it.
and that was no easy task.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a wonderful, and it's worth going to see. I'm not going back. Not planning on going back for a couple of reasons. For one, you know, you might get a tick or something on you.
Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Well, if you wasn't so tired to where you just lay down and pass out, you might could have found the ticks on you.
Yeah, true. But after walking for 15 miles in sand, carrying a 50-pound pack, you're about ready to quit.
You don't care.
Every step, your feet would slide backwards 3 inches. I mean, and that's not. I mean, it was like walking on the beach with a backpack. And Josh, God love him,
that was the very first time I ever went backpacking. You know, and I bought me a backpack
and a tent,
new tent, lighter tent, smaller tent, but whew, it was a little bit bigger than I wanted. Then, getting my backpack adjusted was the problem. And then I finally got it adjusted, was on the road, everything was good. Then we hit the parallel trail, downhill. Now I ain't gonna lie, I did a bunch of complaining the first hour or two.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it away, but y'all need to watch the very last episode, because I always ask, it's one of the things I do a lot in the videos, is I'll go, what was your favorite thing? What was your least favorite thing? And I go around the group and ask that. Y'all just need to pay attention to Larry's least favorite thing. I'll just leave it at that for now.
I don't even remember.
Okay, well, just wait and see it when it comes out then.
Oh wait, you ain't put it out yet.
No, it'll be the last video.
The last video
probably of the Cumberland Island series. Yeah, probably episode. I think I'll get 4 episodes out of that. So.
Yeah, it's worthwhile going just to see that many miles of beach with no one on it.
Nobody.
Not a human being, not a track of a person anywhere. And you look this way, you look that way, as far as you can see, and it's just empty beach with, you know, shells.
A nice beach.
Everywhere. You know, it was, that was amazing. And dunes, I'd never seen dunes like that before.
Yeah.
Big sand dunes everywhere.
I want to go back, but I don't know that I'll go back, you know, I mean, it'd be all right to go back and backpack it again, I guess, but I would like to go back and carry Shannon down and stay in a hotel on the mainland, ride the ferry over, ride bikes that day, just on the south end of the island. I don't think you could, well, you can ride bikes on the north end of the island because we saw people doing it, but I bet that would be miserable in that sand.
Oh.
No. Could you imagine?
If you had the right bike.
If you had
you have to have big tires.
Yeah. But that guy had gone all the way to Brick Hill Bluff, backpacking, had all of his gear packed on his bike, him and his wife. They got up there and they camped. And when he started back, his seat broke off of his bike. So all he had was a pole sticking up. So he had a little bit of duct tape and a roll of toilet paper. And he taped that roll of toilet paper on there and sat on that thing for 12 miles through the sand.
I'd have stood up.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, now you got to understand the Bradmore philosophy. Let's say a normal hike would be 10 miles. 10 miles a day is good. So what does Brad plan? 15.
Actually, this was Larry that planned it, remember?
Oh, yeah.
This was Larry.
Larry, the guy that can hike forever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Larry, the guy whose goal last year in 2021 was to hike 2,021 miles. I hadn't talked to him. I don't know if he actually made it, but I know he got close.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
We could just
and of course, I got thinking about the trip we missed to Canada and how many miles we would have had to have carried canoes.
Well, the good thing about that was, though, you wasn't always hiking. You might hike a couple 100 meters, back in your boat.
Yeah.
Paddle for an hour or two, maybe hike for 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it would be broke up and wouldn't be
Yeah,
as bad.
that wouldn't be too bad. Although we'd probably still be dead in the wilderness up there.
Yeah. After Cumberland Island, I thought I would have died in Canada.
Mm.
Well, the thing about Canada was we had time and we were all like doing things to kind of prepare ourselves. We were hiking with backpack. We were doing some things, working out and all.
Well, some of you were.
Yeah. Yeah, some people's idea of getting ready for a trip is, you know, going out and hiking, physically hiking for 2 or 3 miles a day, or you could sit and watch videos about it. That's what Josh did.
Or get on Amazon and look for gear to take with you.
Yeah.
And buy stuff because you don't have it.
Man.
Which, if I had it to do over again on backpack, I would have chose a different one. I would have researched better.
Mm-hmm.
But when I seen this one, I was like, oh, it's a pretty good size. Hey, it's cheap. It's on sale. Clearance.
Ta-da.
That's the one. And it's not a bad backpack.
What it didn't.
And when it comes to gear, the tent that I got to go on the Canada trip that I carried to Cumberland Island, and we actually carried it on the Pinhoti Trail,
it's
the last one, same one. And my head was against one end of it, my feet was against the other. When all that condensation come down, you was wet on both ends, you know.
Is that the one like I got to? Like
It was
Larry
really
had?
small.
Rock. The one to use a trekking pole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I ordered me one too, and I've not even opened it.
Don't throw it away. I'll
Because it
never.
was what, like $30-something?
I would never take it again, because it's, if you're 5 foot tall, you're good. If you're 6+, no.
Well, some of the other guys I watch on YouTube, they've got the ultralight stuff, which I ain't gonna lie, if I was to start hiking more, I'm definitely thinking I would invest in some of this ultralight gear.
Well, at our age,
We need it.
yeah, we're getting to the point that,
It's hard to tote a 50-pound pack.
yeah, it's hard to tote a 30-pound pack.
But
Now, I did get down to 45 pounds on the Pinhoti.
that's still a lot.
Yeah.
It don't sound like much, but when you walk for a while, it's pretty heavy.
It was a hike in the Smokies that got my youngest son to where he's like, I'm never hiking again. This is it. I'm done. And it was a rainstorm in the swamp that made him think, I'm never doing that again either. So, you know, sometimes, you know, a really bad trip will make you say, I'm done doing it.
Why am I doing this?
And it's just like I used to deer hunt. I'm like, one day I was sitting up in a tree with the wind blowing 50 miles an hour, you know, just humped up there about to freeze to death and dying of hypothermia. And I'm like, man, it sure is warm back at the house. So, you know, I gave up that foolishness.
Well,
But so far, the hiking and canoeing hadn't soured me on our trips yet. And it's an amazement that we have got a few of us here in one area that do this kind of thing. Larry, you know, he had other groups that he went with at different times. And, you know, we just got our little group, and thank goodness we're all here close together.
Yeah. Larry goes with some folks that he used to work with out of Kansas, and they're scattered all over, literally all over the country now. But they still get together and do a trip every year. And they've been to some really cool places. Some places I think that the Bite Me crew needs to look at going.
we definitely need to branch out Midwest, out that way to some of them places.
I'm thinking spring trip, something new, something that won't kill us. That would be good.
Or cause you to have a disease.
All right, so we're
Go ahead and talk about it. We brought it up.
We have gotten way off course here. So the first day we went to Brick Hill Bluff. Second day, which was at the north end of the island, you dock on the south end, and so we were supposed to have hiked. It was supposed to have been a 10-mile hike, which we were all sweating pretty bad about it. I mean, honestly, we were like, that's going to be a pretty good hike by the time we dock, get off the ferry, get well, then when we get there, everybody was like,
Let's go to the ruins.
let's go to the ruins, which was 2 miles in the opposite direction.
So there's 4 more miles.
So that was 4 miles. So we ended up hiking 14 miles.
I kind of wonder if taking the parallel trail might have added a little bit, because it went
Yeah.
to the right and we were camping on the left side.
The parallel trail, we were doing good hiking on the road, or I was personally. I can speak for me.
Great.
personally.
I finally quit complaining.
And then we got on the parallel trail, which was the trail you're supposed to really hike on. I mean, you can do the road, but you're going to have an occasional Forest Service car come through, or truck. But they've got this parallel trail, so we thought, well, let's go check it out. The problem with the parallel trail was about the first 2 miles of it, there had been a burn on one side, and they had used the parallel trail for the fire break. And they had equipment in there, and they were trees, and it was all rutted up, and stumps,
roots,
and it just
tore to pieces.
It was tore to pieces, and it tore us to pieces getting through it. I mean, it was just, by the time, that's when my feet started hurting me. But I mean, we didn't know. There was no way to know. And if we'd have got through that without having to walk through that damaged area, we probably would have been fine too. Because once we got through that, it was a good 2 miles.
Oh yeah.
And while we was on the parallel trail, we walked by the campsite we camped on the second night.
Yep.
So we actually went past where we camped the second night on the way to our first campsite.
Yeah. And we got there. Now we were kind of shocked when we got to Brick Hill Bluff, or I was, because it seemed like there was, when we first got there, we saw a lot of people, but then we didn't see anybody else. I don't know, where did they go? Did they go to bed that early?
I wonder if they did.
There was a lot of people there.
There was a
Maybe.
lot of tents and stuff.
Maybe I just tuned everybody out because I was about to die.
But I mean, we didn't even see, like when we walked out and looked at the bay and all that stuff, we never saw anybody. We would see tents.
I mean, I almost burnt my tent down.
Oh yeah, he did do that.
Yeah, but as soon as I got a little something to eat and drank a gallon of water,
The sun was
boom, I was
Time
gone.
to go to bed.
The sun had just set, but it was still daylight because I've got a time lapse of the sun setting over that fire that was burning in Okefenokee.
Yeah.
Remember we looked it up and there was a big fire burning. I mean, as soon as that, I shut that off. I went and climbed into bed and I slept hard.
Yes.
I mean, hard. And the wind was blowing. It was like 40 degrees the next morning. It was chilly.
Yeah, quite chilly in the morning.
And we had to get up, pack up, and tear out.
And hike back
Was it
to
like
Hickory Hill. Was that the name of it?
Hickory Hill.
Yeah, was
Yeah,
it Hickory?
it's Brick Hill Bluff and Hickory Hill, I think.
And we got there, and there was a water source nearby.
That was
the well.
Sulfur, non-potable.
Non-potable water, but it could be filtered.
Yeah. And we got there and got set up.
When we
rested
went
a while.
by there on the way to Brick Hill, when we walked by that, we sat down and rested, and I'd found a few ticks on my clothes. And I got rid of them. Didn't think no more about it. So I'm sure somewhere through there is where I met my little foes.
But that day, that's the day we walked out to the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a pretty good little hike. And we came back, and I remember it was not dark yet, but I went to bed before the sun set that night.
Yeah.
I mean, I went like before the sun set.
Yeah, 'cause
but I remember,
we ate early.
yeah, I remember Glendon was fixing him something else to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He shouldn't have.
Yeah, and I walked by and I said, "Man, that stinks. What is that? Don't smell good." He was like, "Yeah, it don't taste right either." And he just kept on eating it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ugh." And then
What was it about?
about midnight the
Was it
first
that
time,
late?
Yeah, it was right at
Yeah,
midnight.
it's close to it.
and then about
He was calling up dinosaurs.
it was bad.
And I didn't feel good either. But now looking back, I know why
Yeah.
I didn't feel good.
Yeah, that poor boy was sick.
He was bad. See,
I mean, he about every 30 minutes there for about 4 hours.
Yes.
I mean,
And he
big
drank.
time.
he
It was
was
starting about midnight.
Drank all the water in camp.
Yeah, not everybody's water.
Yeah.
And then, so then we got up at 3, it was 3:26 when I started, because I saw the video the other day where I picked up my phone and looked at it. It was 3:26 when I started packing up in the morning. And we hiked, got him out to the road.
Yeah.
We had to call, Larry had just gone through a rescue certification.
Wilderness rescue.
Wilderness rescue certification, and we had to go through. Larry called 911 and was like, "Listen, we need a ride out. It's not an emergency yet.
It's not life threatening.
It's not life threatening." They tried to send the rescue squad and a rescue boat and helicopter and everything else to begin with, and Larry's like, "No, that ain't what we need."
The boy's young, he can handle it.
Yeah,
He just weak.
Thank goodness he had youth on his side.
Yes.
If that had been me, they'd had to send the helicopter, the rescue boat. No.
yeah. All right, so that was our last day. We'll do this in another. We'll go to you in the next episode.
Well, this just leading up to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We're leading
Put a
up to
little
the
anticipation
Yes.
for the next episode.
Yes, so we ended up having to get rescued. Ranger had to come pick us up, give us a ride out. Thankfully, he seemed to have gotten all of it out of his system. I believe y'all would agree it was a
Oh,
case of
yeah.
food poisoning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
it had to be what he ate.
He seemed to have gotten all of it out of his system. By the time the Ranger got there, and thankfully he was actually feeling good enough to eat by the time we got out at lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he slept
When we got
he
back to
slept
St.
all the way
Mary's.
home. So
What a trip.
yeah.
But yeah, of course, on there's always got to be that silver lining. I didn't want to walk all the way back out.
I didn't
I'm like, I know it's your fault that we got to have a ride out of here, but thank God you're going to get a ride out of here.
I was already like, when I went to bed, I was like, I dread that 5 miles in the morning. I can't.
Yeah,
Then he started getting sick. I was like, we're never going home because there's no way we're going to make it back to the boat.
Yeah. All right. Excuse me. All right, so we will. We're going to cut this one here, and we'll come back. We're going to talk when we come back in the next episode. We'll talk to Josh.
Yeah, so y'all got to come back and hear what happened.
Yeah. So I guess this will be next week's episode. But all right. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Pine Thicket Philosophy, and we will keep living our lives and doing this crazy crap we do so we can tell y'all all about it. Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So come back and join us next week where even bad adventures make great stories. All right. We'll see you. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in for this episode of Pine Thicket Philosophies. Tune in next time as we continue to live by our motto, even bad adventures make great stories.